Hey guys, this is your professor, Mr. Allen. I wanted to create this video to show you how to use APA style. Normally, I upload a PowerPoint, and I do apologize with the last paper. I thought I'd uploaded the PowerPoint on how to do APA style, but I did not. I decided this time around I'm going to record a very specific tutorial to this paper, just showing you some ways that you can cite your sources online and just how to do APA citations. So I have the instructions for the College Inc. essay paper. It's the same structure as the last paper. You're basically going to be watching a documentary, and you're going to be applying some of the principles of stratification and also the chapter on education to this documentary. Alright, so this isn't a full-blown research paper. It's a reflection paper. There's really three sources that you're going to need to cite for this paper. And one thing I noticed is people were citing outside sources. They were using Wikipedia and so forth. All of the answers to the questions that I'm asking here, they can be found in one of the three sources. The first source is the documentary itself. I'm going to show you how to cite a documentary. The next is going to be a blog post about the McDonaldization of higher education, and obviously your textbook is a source. So in the works cited page, I don't want to see links to websites or other sources. I just want to see these three sources cited. You'll notice at the bottom of the instructions I give you a link to go to citationmachine.net. I'm going to pull up this website. This is a really handy website, and it shows you how to cite sources not only in APA style, but MLA style, or Chicago and Turabian style. So even if you're not taking this class, if you're taking a composition class, more than likely you'll use MLA. In sociology and the other social sciences, we use American Psychological Association or APA style. I'm going to click on the tab that says APA style. Okay, and when I click on this tab, what it shows me by default is the book setting. So if I'm citing a book like your textbook, all right, I would use the book. What you can do, you can type in the book title, you can type in the author, or you could type in the ISBN number. That's on the back of the book, right above the barcode. It's a number that's used to identify the book. I'm not going to use either of these. What I'm going to do is just to show you how it works is the manual entry mode. You'll see here there's a tab that says manual entry. Alright, and now I can type in the basic facts about the book. Alright, so first name and last name. James Henslin. Okay, the book title, Essentials of Sociology, a down to earth approach. Alright, this is the 10th edition. I'm just going to write 10 in there. Alright, I'm not going to worry about page numbers. A lot of you guys in your last bibliography, you wanted to cite different chapters of the book. Just cite the book. It's very rare that you just cite a chapter of a book. I don't require it, so I'm just going to leave it blank. Alright, the city of publication, and usually how this works, with textbooks, there's multiple places where they're published. The general rule is to choose the city nearest you. If you look on the title page of the textbook, there's about 12 or 13 cities. I'm going to choose Boston. All right, and the publisher is Pearson. All right, and then the year of publication is 2012. and I'm going to click Make Citation. Okay. You see here it says your citation. So I'm just going to copy this. All right, and I'm going to open up a Word document. Okay, and we're going to call this the Works Cited page. That's another thing to keep in mind. Sometimes it's called a reference page. I prefer Works Cited. So at the very end of this paper that you're going to write, you need to have a separate page called Works Cited. All right, and now I'm going to paste it. Okay. All right, and it's just that easy to create a citation. Okay, so you'll also see, going back to the website, parenthetical citation. All right, and what this does, this pulls up how to create a in-text citation. All right, it shows you there Hensland 2012. Okay. Okay, so let's say I'm writing my paper here, and this is the body of my paper, and I want to cite a fact from the textbook. All right. So let's say I want to cite the fact that 12% of the U.S. population, or I think it's now 14%, live in poverty. And this is a fact that I got from the textbook. What I'm going to say is 14% of the U.S. population lives in poverty. All right. All right. And what I did, I actually pasted from citationmachine.net. All right. One thing that I noticed is an overuse of citations or a lack of citations. So when do you put an in-text citation? Whenever you put information, whenever you put quotes, something that's not commonly known, you need to include a citation. So let's say you're doing research from your textbook and you want to include a fact. Even if you don't have a quotation, let's just say you're paraphrasing, you're summarizing what the textbook says, you need to put in an in-text citation here. All right. One thing that I'm lacking here is a page number. So I'm going to say this is on page 47. Okay, and then in my Works Cited page, I'm going to have the textbook mentioned, right? Because I'm citing it in the text. So what this does, this lets your instructor know what source you used and where to find the information. What you're doing here is you're basically leaving them a breadcrumb trail in the paper, so they can go back, look at the source, make sure you used it correctly. And you also want to cite it in the text of the paper in what's called an in-text citation, and then in the Works Cited page at the end, so that they could make sure that you cited it correctly, and so they could see what kind of sources you used. All right. So again, anytime you're citing facts, let's say you're citing information from statistics that you learned from the documentary, then you want to do an in-text citation from the documentary. All right. I'm not going to show you other examples. I'm just going to show you how to get there. In addition to the textbook, like I said, you need to cite the documentary. So you click on Film. All right, and then click on Manual Entry Mode. All right, then you're going to get as much information as you can about the documentary. You need the title, you need the director's name, the city, the country in which it was produced. I would not worry about performers or distributor, but I would like to see the year. Okay, and the medium doesn't matter. You could say, instead of a medium, since you're watching it online, When you make the citation, at the very end of it, you just want to write retrieved from and the link to the website. All right. So when you create the citation for the documentary, you're going to go back and you're going to put it in your works cited page. In a works cited page, make sure that everything's in alphabetical order. So whatever the producer's name of the documentary is, I don't recall what his name was, but let's say his last name was Adams. Obviously Adams would go before Henslin in the list. All right. Another thing when you're working on a works cited page, it's double spaced and it uses what's called a hanging indent. All right. So in Microsoft Word, you want to make sure that you go to paragraph and you want to go to double spacing. All right. And you see under indentation, there's a drop down box under special, and you want to click on hanging indent. All right. What a hanging indent is if it's over one line of the citation. So let's say you're citing a documentary and the citation itself is 2 lines. What it does is on the second line it indents it 5 spaces automatically for you. So that's standard for the works cited page in APA, and I believe it's also true for MLA. All right. And I'm going to pull up Citation Machine again, and I'm going to click on website. All right, and it's not working at the moment. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are using this site, but what you want to do is you want to click on website, and it actually shows you a list of options when you click on website, one of them being for a blog post. So the blog post that I want you to read, I also want that cited in the paper. All right, so I hope this helps clarify any questions that you might have about in-text citations and the works cited page. I know I have it under 2 separate documents here, but I do want it as one document. Obviously let's pretend this is the body of the paper where I'm actually writing. Okay, and I'm just going to put that here, and I'm going to do insert and page break. All right, and now I have it on a separate page. Okay, there's a couple of comments I want to make about college level writing. These are some errors that I saw in the papers. One of them is the use of the first person, I or we, or the second person, you. All right, you want to make sure in college writing that you're just sort of a passive reporter of the facts. All right, so the point of college writing is not to write a blog, so you're not going to talk about what you think unless you're being asked for your opinion. All right, and you want to make sure that you're not addressing it to somebody else by saying you. You're just sort of kind of a passive voice, just reporting the facts. I find that that's probably the hardest thing to learn about college level writing. So make sure that you're avoiding the first and the second person. And if you look back at your papers, I tried as much as possible with the first paper to point out where you're using the first person or the second person needlessly. Another thing to avoid is slang. I think we all use it in our conversation, and for college level writing, that's a no-no. So be sure when you write your paper, read it out loud, have someone else read it with the intention of trying to point out any slang terms that you may be using. All right. Another thing is writing personal asides. So I may be asking you a question where you're asked to report the facts or analyze something. All right. Unless I'm asking you for your opinion with that question. All right. Well, I'll go back and show you some examples. Be sure to omit your opinion. Okay. So like with this first question here, you're being asked to analyze what someone else says. All right. The same is true for part of the second question. All right. So choose a theoretical perspective in sociology. the conflict perspective, the functionalist perspective, or the symbolic interactionist perspective, all right, and analyze it, all right. Then you're asked to write about your opinion, okay. So when you're answering A, B, C, D, and E, since you are talking about your opinion, it's okay to say, I think that, all right. But when you have questions like the first one here, you're asked to report the facts, then you want to make sure that you're avoiding I or we. Okay, and this third one, you're being asked your opinion. So again, it's okay to say I. All right. Those are just some basic tips I can think of. I'm sorry for the long tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'd be more than willing to look at a proof of the paper. And I thank you guys for the work that you've done so far. You really impressed me with some of the work that you've done, and you really brought up some perspectives that I hadn't thought of. So thanks for watching.